I'm standing here, a person who has hurt people, a person who has made many bad decisions. But through all of my flaws, failings, and shortcomings, I'm a person who fought extremely hard to change because I believed that I could be better. When I was 19, I was a soldier in the United States Army. My work ethic was excellent. I would be the first to volunteer for assignments, first to sign up for classes, top scores in PT. I even completed a warrior leadership course as a 19-year-old private first class. On the outside, it looked like I had everything together, but I didn't. I struggled with my mental health and chose to use alcohol to combat those battles. I struggled with the fear and the powerlessness I felt when my mother had her stroke. I struggled with loneliness and depression from an unexpected breakup with a girlfriend. I even felt frustration with my unit for failing to properly submit paperwork for my airborne school. Now, these might seem like, to some people, everyday problems people face. And if I'm being honest with myself, they are. My problem was, when I would face adversity, I would drink. Or when I made bad decisions, I would blame everyone and everybody and everything but myself. On one alcohol and drug-filled night, I was angry, I was hurting, I was drunk. I made horrible decisions and was charged with aggravated malicious wounding, abduction with immoral intent, 2 more counts of malicious wounding, and an attempted murder. My choices negatively affected my victims, their families, my families, and myself, and I regret them every day. I regret the fact that I hurt people who never deserved to experience what I put them through. I regret the burden that I placed on my family and loved ones who stood by me for the last 13 years of this 27-year sentence. And now, I'm standing here, facing the consequences of those bad decisions. But that's only part of my story, because I'm standing here as a violent convicted felon, giving this TEDx talk about bridging the gap between who we are and who we want to be. It blows my mind because I understand the significance of this platform. I am on a journey towards my aspirations. Bridging the gap between who we are and who we want to be is a human journey because I believe we all desire to be better than we are. For the first couple years of my incarceration, I could never gain any real traction on the change that I wanted to make. After some time reflecting, I knew that I wanted to be more disciplined. I wanted to be more thoughtful in my decision making. I wanted to be more compassionate and understanding. I wanted to communicate more effectively. I wanted to become a team builder. I also wanted to become financially educated and responsible. So what was it that held me back? It took a while, but I finally realized that I had a destination on my journey, but I didn't have a current location. Think about it for a moment. For us to plot a course on any trip, you need an accurate description of both your destination and your current location. I didn't have a current location because I didn't do the introspective work necessary to figuring out where I currently was in life. Looking at myself critically and honestly allowed me to challenge certain beliefs and broaden my perspective. I was able to see the counterproductive nature of those beliefs, and my worldview shifted. I understood almost instantly that I wasn't a victim of my circumstances. No. I was a product of my decisions. And it was then that I understood in a core and fundamental way what responsibility truly is. From that point on, my journey began and I was on my path. I spent hours every day reading authors like James Allen or Ayn Rand. I studied business finance and accounting, real estate finance, income tax laws and strategies. I spent my time with like-minded individuals who utilized the time that they had been given productively. When stories of prisoners are told, such productive people often get left out, but they are actually common. In fact, I met a group of guys who would sit for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, conducting both business classes and think tanks because they were all going home relatively soon. The time that I spent with these guys, learning, brainstorming, contributing ideas, gave me the type of experience I could only dream of in a situation like this. These guys, who all experienced the same frustrations of prison as I have, are now on the outside running a tech startup in Atlanta's Tech Village and have launched an app called My Event Advisor. You know what brought us together? It was a conscious belief we had in ourselves and the actions we took to bolster those beliefs. For me, there were times when I had to remind myself of the belief I have in myself, of the faith I have in my potential, even when everything around me is telling me otherwise. I am a product of my decisions, so I am the captain of my fate. And I decided to become better than any category people have tried to put me in. I think what tends to hold us back is our tendency to confirm our own biases. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you won't. It's crazy how potent the smallest seeds of doubt can be. But understand, we will all face adversity. We will all make mistakes. We will all have shortcomings. All of this is inevitable and will cause you to doubt yourself. But choosing to believe in yourself will provide you with the resiliency to press on. That is the chisel of character that details the statue of you. I'm sculpting somebody who maintains an elevated perspective, which allows me to see as many steps between my last objective and my next step as possible, because at one point, I was somebody who didn't think about the long-term consequences of their decisions. I learned not to compare myself to others, especially when we don't have the same aspirations or aren't on the same journey. I remember Rocky Balboa once told Adonis Creed that his opponent will always be the person in the mirror. I believe the lack of self-respect that keeps people who are incarcerated from progressing can only be gained through the successful accomplishment of goals that fulfills one's aspirations. When a person sets their sights on those aspirations, does that introspective work necessary to figuring out where they currently are on their journey, and then slowly starts to accomplish feat after feat, they'll be more conscious of their decisions and whether the risk is worth the reward. I believe if we encourage this process, not only will we bridge the gap between who we are and who we want to be, but we will also bridge the gap with the communities we hope to return to by adding value to them as we've added value to ourselves. Thank you.